My boyfriend has a rash on his junk. This is STD Anonymous.
Herpes could never. Herpes could never break me, could never again make me feel less of. Herpes can't take my sexy away from me. Herpes does not take my worth away. Herpes does not devalue me. Herpes can never.
Hi, my name is Shayna Singleton, aka The Herpes Goddess, and yes, having me is a big flex. I am the founder of Herpes Can Never Grow, the largest herpes awareness platform of over 294K, because I inspire people to love themselves more. The mission at Herpes Could Never is to be at war with the stigma until our community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. Welcome. This is STD Anonymous, where I will be reading to you all weekly, every Friday, an anonymous submission from somebody within the STD community, somebody living with a lifelong virus, sharing their story, but not yet comfortable to share their story publicly. If you're interested in any public stories, go ahead and select this here and you'll find a whole playlist of people who are willing to share their stories publicly. Today, we have a submission from a young lady whose boyfriend gets rashes on their junk. I know, sounds weird. Let me get the story up and let's get into it. So, my boyfriend cheated on me 6 months ago with a girl he's been on and off with since 17. He says that they have a great sexual connection. He says that we were never in a committed relationship, and that they were in a relationship based off of sex. Mind you, they haven't spoken or seen each other in 3 years. My boyfriend has issues with being faithful, and he's younger than me by 5 years. I'm 30, he's 25. We have been on and off for the past 5 years because of it. Well, 2 weeks after he had sex with the girl, he developed some bumps on his penis. And I'm like, oh my God, what's that, herpes? So he gets upset immediately because I always think the worst of him, he says. I told him I wasn't having sex with him until he gets checked. So we both got checked. Together, our results came back negative for herpes. His doctor, on the other hand, told him he didn't have herpes and he didn't think a test was necessary because it looked like a bacterial rash, and asked if he was, pause. This email's a little bit all over the place, so please bear with me. I asked if he washed his hands before and after using the bathroom and what type of job he does. The doctor gave him an antibacterial cream and told him if it doesn't clear up in 2 weeks to come back. It's cleared up, so of course he didn't go back. Fast forward 2 months later, he has an outbreak again. So I'm like, I think it's something else because I've never heard of a bacterial rash on someone's private parts that keeps coming back. So I asked him to request a different doctor. The new doctor says the same thing. It doesn't look like herpes. Plus, my boyfriend has no symptoms from the rash. He just knows that it's there. So we always wait till it clears up to have sex again. Mind you, I had a feeling in my gut that it was something more than just a bacterial rash, that the doctor was not actually telling him that. I went back to get checked again from my doctor, and she explained to me the situation was likely, I'm sorry, you guys, maybe I should have proofread this email. Okay, fast forward. 2 months after having sex, I go to perform oral sex, and he's like, no, because my rash came back. So I immediately got upset. Bro, why the hell would you not tell me? We just had sex with no condom. So he's like, I didn't tell you because you overreact all the time. So at this point, I'm pissed. Then a month later, which is past April, I see him in the bathroom looking at himself. So I pretend I had to pee. And I'm like, what are you doing? Do you have something down there? He's like, yeah, the bumps. So I looked and I'm like, yo, that looks like exactly like the pictures of herpes my doctor showed me. He gets upset, of course. So at this point, I'm very upset. And I actually have a doctor friend that sends him the pictures as well. She's telling him the same thing. It's an allergic reaction to something, she said, and it kind of looks like herpes. Then it doesn't. Plus, he has no symptoms associated with the rash. But something didn't sit right with me because 3 to 4 outbreaks in 6-month period. Who's to say how many he had and didn't tell me because I would overreact? So I went to STD.com and paid for an STD panel test for him. Since none of the doctors wanted to send him for labs because they don't think it's herpes, the results came back positive for herpes. I called my doctor and had labs ordered. My results came back positive for HSV1 and HSV2. His doctor hasn't even gave him medication and says that antivirals are toxic. He should use a condom and reach out to the person who gave it to him. My doctor hasn't prescribed me anything because so far I had no outbreaks. Ooh, that was a rough read. If you're the person who sent this email, I'm sorry, I kind of butchered your email. Moving forward, I'm going to proofread these emails before reading them to you all. So what it sounds like to me is, I think your boyfriend already knew. And I think he was lying to you when he told you it was a bacterial rash, just because of how upset he got when you called it herpes. It seemed like he had something to hide. I also think that you knew as well, but for some reason, you wanted to continue on with the relationship. What was holding you back? I mean, if you knew in your heart of hearts that it was herpes, why continue on? Why continue on with the lies? I mean, were you in denial? The story's a little bit all over the place. You don't ask any questions for advice, so it's hard to give you any advice, but I would love to hear what you all think about this young lady's story. Have you seen a bacterial rash on somebody's junk before? Have you seen something that may have looked like herpes on someone's genital areas and decide to ignore it? I mean, what would you tell this young lady after hearing her story? For one, I would like to thank you for sharing your story. 2, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. 3, leave him alone. He is a liar. I think he knew he had herpes. And 4, yeah, I got nothing. I'm a little bit stuck on the bacterial rash. That's the first I've ever heard of someone calling their herpes a bacterial rash. But it is common that the doctor will refuse to test someone for herpes because the blood tests are extremely inaccurate. But good for you for ordering a blood test. For those of you guys who can't get a herpes test because your doctor is doing the same thing to you, you can go to STD.com and purchase a kit to test for herpes. You can also probably go to your local drugstore. They usually sell STD kits, testing kits there as well. If you're interested in sharing your story anonymously, you can go ahead and email herpescanever.com. I mean, not herpescanever.com, herpescanever@gmail.com. I will put all my information and handle in the description box below. Thanks for listening in. Again, my name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess and founder of Herpes Can Never. Support is free. Like, subscribe, share. And yes, I would love to hear your feedback. Peace, love, and life. Herpes Can Never.